Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of our Build a Civilization simulation. This week, we will be focusing more on our society summit, thinking about our culture that would develop in our society. So, the second slide, this is the situation. It's a reminder that you're in the year 5800 BCE and that you and a group of fellow humans, about 50 people, have traveled to find a new place to live. So you know your coordinates, or you should at this time. If you don't know, you can always look in previous week slides. They're in week 1 and week 2. And you can travel about 100 miles a radius of your location. All right. So the first task today is to complete in the week 2 reflection discussion board a few questions about how did it go. So what was challenging about designing a power structure for your civilization? Just a sentence or two. How realistic do you feel like your power structure is? And if you didn't finish that, you can keep working on it, right? Is it a straight, democracy or oligarchy, autocracy, or is it a blend? Did you do something different? And 3, which decisions were hardest to make? All right, because you made some laws also, as well as how you might deal with when people break those laws or social norms. So respond to that. That's your first thing. And then there's just one more for this week. And that is around our society summit. So this is the scenario. You've made contact with other human societies within travel range of your region. After some initial debate about how to respond, you've been preparing for a future encounter by setting up systems, products, proposals that you hope will clarify your coexistence and define your society. So you're trying to create something either that will show them who you are or how you want to interact with them. This week, we have word from scouts that messengers from a neighboring society are proposing a summit, bringing together all of the people from other communities peacefully to engage in further discussion about how to coexist. We don't yet know our plans will play out or how relationships will develop when we meet each other in person, but we will at least start with this opportunity to share an aspect of our civilization. This summit will be a demonstration of various aspects of each civilization, and you're just choosing one to share at this summit. Each society will showcase an aspect of their culture, civilization, based on their identity, beliefs, and or a cultural exchange. These aspects should be representative of your heritage, history, and values, and help other civilizations get an idea of who you are as a people and how you exist in the world. So this is your task, and I'm going to show you some different options that you will have. So here is kind of a menu of some things you can do. There are 3 categories. Identity. So if you want to share with the other civilization something about your identity, you would choose this. Beliefs. These would be some of your deep beliefs or values that your society shares that you want to share with these people. And the last one is trade, economy, and cultural exchange. So ways that you could work together with this other civilization. So if you look under identity, you can develop things that show this other group something about yourself. Your name of your civilization. You can come up with a flag, a chant, or an image or a saying, just like we do for our countries. You could share your styles of dress, jewelry, body modifications, makeup. You can share a custom or norms, a language, or you could share some of your arts or technologies. So you will, for this category, you come up with a product. Okay. And I'll show you some examples after this slide. For beliefs, you would create a story, a song, or a poem, right? So think of like creation stories or origin stories about your beliefs of where do things come from, right? Who has power and authority over the universe? Why are we here? What happens after we die? So you can kind of answer one or more of those questions in a song, poem, or story, okay, or an art that represents one of these story or one of these questions. The last category is trade, economy, and cultural exchange. So this is if you really want to interact more deeply with the other civilization. So you want to consider, how are you going to exchange? Are you going to have a barter system and currency? What goods can you export or offer? What would you hope to import from others? How do you want to interact with them, right? So for this, you could make a map, kind of like the Silk Road with regions and trade routes. You could make a diagram showing interactions and the values of goods, like maybe a market and what kind of goods might be there, or artifacts like currency or money. So let's look at some of these examples a little more concretely. So for identity, here are some artifacts that share a society's identity. This first one is a flag of the Chippewa Cree tribe, right? Here's some art on body art and tattoos from a Polynesian tribe or group. Down here is a flag of Eritrea, and this is their anthem written in their language, and here it is translated into English. And last but not least, here is a clay container with some art that represents some of the Maya beliefs about their gods or a story. So these are just some ideas, right? Here are some guiding questions to help you. How will you establish or keep a sense of cultural identity? What does it mean to be a member of your tribe? What qualities, characteristics, practices define you? Or how are people of your community unique? What sets you apart? And all of these are aspects over here. These are artifacts that display those aspects. So that's under identity. Or for beliefs, again, you could create a story, song, or poem answering these essential questions up here. And there are several examples here with artwork and with the creation story. So here's one example from Chinese creation myth. There are two more in the next slide. There's the Egyptian creation myth example. So you could just write the story, or you could do the art, right? You might want to explain the art a little bit for people. Here is the Native American creation myth and a piece of art. So I think a couple of these we did in language arts at the beginning of the year for origin stories, so they might be familiar. And the last category is trade, economy, and cultural exchange. So you could come up with a currency system, right? You could come up with a map for your region and maybe some items that you could exchange and what you would want to import from other groups. Or you could do some kind of artwork showing the exchange going down. This is a Sumerian exchange of goods. So different things you can make, products you can make for the cultural exchange. So once you've decided on one thing, I've given you a lot of options. You just need to do one, then you make it, and then you're going to submit it to a submission. It's called the Civilization Aspect Submissions, and here are the instructions on how to do that. So you either want to save it, either if it's a written document, you would save it as a, digital document, or if it's, handwritten, you take a picture. So a lot of times you would take a picture and save them as a screenshot or a link or an easy to read file, right? And you need to keep this format under around 512 megabytes. So you might have to experiment with this. So keep this handy. Then you go into our folder for this week, open up the Civilizations Aspect Submission media file. It's just like one of the discussion boards or something. It's just called the Civilization Aspect Submissions. And then when you open it up, it'll say attach a file. So you would click on that and you would go to your file, if it's a photo, if it's a document, and then you would, after it comes up, it might take a couple minutes to load, then you select add media, and that will attach it into this media file. What's so great about this media file, and maybe you've done this, I know we've done this in Language Arts, is that it uploads it and then we can see everyone's work. Let's see, then this is if you're doing, let's say you just have writing, you can add this as a visual, and we'll have this posted, and then you would, after you post this, since you don't have a visual, then you would post your writing in the comments section below the visual. And these are the instructions on how to do that. All right. And you will need to probably reformat it once you do that. If you try it, read through these instructions. If you absolutely can't do it, you can either send it to me and I'll put it on, or I can talk you through it a little more during office hours, or answer your questions, like always. So this is really our last big assignment for the school year. And next week we'll just be wrapping things up. So take care. I hope to see you during office hours.